Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for the interesting presentations of all the residencies that we just learned. I have to say that for me, some of the words are still some secrets, and I'm not sure really what is the meaning, but I'm sure that everyone here was a little bit curious on learning more, and we advise you to use the opportunities during the breaks to get to know deep and in person the people that were just in the stand. I am honored to be monitoring and moderating a female panel. I have to say that it's not always able to have 100% female women, which brings me to the conclusion that women in tech are also present here. So, European Commission, if you are listening, this is a good example, and the funds are being well spent. This session, it's very interesting in my point of view, and personally, because I'm also engaged in the monitoring of the residencies, to get to know a little bit more, now that in some cases the residencies has ended for some months. What is your perspective at this moment? I have to say that one of the residencies is ending this month, so this type of time lapse between the end and now is not possible. We have a residency that just ended in December, and the other one ended in August 2018. Okay, so starting perhaps from Code of Soil, I'm happy to introduce you Kasia Molga, right? And Kasia Molga is a designer, a creative technologist, and you like to call yourself design fusionist. Yeah. Is that correct? Yes. Okay. And then from the tech side of the program, we have Feimata Kontek. Sorry if I don't spell your name correctly, but you know. Yeah. Okay, and you are representing here Grow Observatory, which is a H2020 project, okay, aiming at better manage soil and grow food through simple tools while contributing to vital scientific environmental monitoring. Yeah? Okay, if we see the next slide, Louise, if you don't mind. Okay. On the right side, you see a picture of the artwork. We will be exploring a little bit further what one of the artworks. Yeah, it's plenty of work done there. Yeah, and on the left side we have an image representing the tech project. What we can see is that they are quite different, but we will learn a little bit more on this residency in a while. About the artwork, what I can say, but then the details, let's keep them on hold for a bit. It will be some kind of audiovisual piece representing soil and growers' work, okay? And you have been working also on a software that allows the visualization of different data, correct? Let's keep the details later on. Then I would move on to magic lining, okay, here on my right, and I'm happy to introduce Christy Kuss. Is a designer researcher interested in exploring new ways for textiles and fashion to become more sustainable through technology, okay? And she had the opportunity to work with Magic Shoes, here represented by Ana Tajadura Jimenez from Spain, which is a project also aimed to test the feasibility and potential value of using wearable technology, including sensory feedback and body tracking systems, for improving body representation. And this gave room for magic lining residency, okay? And the artwork resulted in a prototype that has innovative wearable solutions for tracking body signals and delivering sound while people are on the move. Let's keep the details and what I said that is not perfectly correct for a while, because this was on purpose. And also there you can see the images, and now moving to the blueprints. I have to say that unfortunately Kate Aspinall, who is the artist, also known as Theo, couldn't come to the event to an unforeseen circumstance, but I think the residency is very well represented here by Gemma Boleda, which is representing Amore. Okay, it's a RNC H2020 project that seeks to build machines capable to connect language to reality. It works a little bit on machine self-learning, right? And the artwork, in fact, also, as in the Code of Soil, it's not one, it's 3, resulted in a sketchbook of 140 pages that describe the entire co-creation process and all the moments that Kate spent during this residency. Preparatory small drawings that she experienced before moving on to the 6 big pieces of drawings that she made that included collage as well drawing, inking, painting, and they represent emotional flashpoints that conjure the hypothetical experience of Amore model's non-human personality. So I have to say that it might be really high-tech technology, this project, but it's not really something that we can. It's not a mobile phone, it's not a technical solution. So perhaps I would start by you, Gemma. If you could explore and describe a little bit what was the challenge that you proposed to the artist and how Kate picked up that challenge and created these blueprints for an emergent personality.
Thanks, Anna. And yeah, so we're five women plus Anna, but there's one missing, so thanks, Anna, for mentioning that. We would be even more if they hadn't been able to come, so I'm very sorry about that. I'll try my best. So basically, my project, as Anna was saying, our project, because it's a team project, is about connecting language to reality. And then for me, it was like I saw this call like from the first edition, so it was kind of brand new, and I saw it. I was not acquainted with the program, which I find really exciting. And my interest was in like, since I'm exploring, the relationship between human language and then the reality that it represents, I thought, okay, art is another form of language. So I was hoping to get feedback from the artist about the topic of the project from the artistic point of view, like a relationship between a language, whatever language, and the world. But then what happened was like then Kate came with her project, right? It's not like, you put a scientist and an artist together. We didn't know each other before. We hadn't worked together, unlike other residencies, so I don't know how typical we are as a collaboration in STARTS. I don't know if there's a prototype or not. And then, you put 2 creative people together, and it's very easy to start a conversation. It's not so easy to converge on a common goal, right? It's like I have a lot of experience in cross-disciplinary research. And so once I was working with some physicists, I was a linguist, there was a physicist. If you look at the data from far enough, it looks like language has something to do with earthquakes. So that was very mind-blowing, but at the same time, it was very difficult to find a common research goal. So I ended up essentially being just a data processing person, and I didn't understand half of what we were doing. It was still very interesting, but it was not a common research, right? So in our case, it was also, I think, like that, in the sense that it was very interesting. We had an interesting conversation. I'm really happy with the resulting artwork, but it was more like us providing Kate with the raw material with which she would do her art, rather than a proper collaboration. That was our experience.
Okay, can I ask the same question to Kasia and Femat?
Okay, well, I'll start. Actually, I want to start because I realise in the STARTS residency that Kasia's been doing with us, I've actually been wearing 2 hats all the time. So with the organisation I work at, Future Everything, we've been producing the residency, but we're also a partner in the GROW project. So I think that's added some sort of levels of, sometimes it's been easier to communicate stuff, but actually sometimes it's made things a little bit more complicated. But actually for GROW as a project, because some of the people who are involved in developing the project come from an arts background or design background, the project already had an idea about including the arts in the project. So there was the GROW Data Art Commission, which is one of the pieces of funding that Kasia was given to develop some of the work that was in there. So it's kind of, we had a data art commission already in this, and then we had the residency that came along, and Kasia was successful in winning, and I thought that was brilliant to be working with her. But the reason Grow wanted to involve the arts in its project was because, again, we know that the arts can bring different ways of looking at the world, you know, from the work that Future Everything does, the work that the team at the University of Dundee who are leading the project. We know that by using arts, you can get to innovation. So that's what we were aiming at, is using the residency as a new way of interpreting data that was coming out of Grow, bringing new knowledge into Grow. I mean, that's not to say that it's always been an easy process, or that things have landed in the ways that we were imagining. But that really was the kind of driver towards it, just knowing that you can't always look at things through one specific lens. It isn't always about being scientific, and it isn't always about being theoretical. It's about mixing things together. And one thing I've been realising from listening to other people talk about the project, and it's just interesting to do some reflecting on it, because Grow isn't like a tech innovation project. We're not trying to build a piece of technology in Grow or develop things. What Grow is it's a citizen observatory project. It's a project funded by Horizon 2020, which is about engaging citizens in Earth observation through soil moisture sensors and improving growing practices. So it's really interesting to think about how can you bring innovation into something like that. But in a way, sometimes I think it would be better if we were just developing a thing and then we could concentrate, because sometimes we can spin out into so many different ways of thinking about methodologies or processes and understanding. But yeah, I don't know if you want to add anything.
Yeah, I think it would be so much easier if you were developing the whole thing.
I don't remember the question actually, but it was more for the scientists.
Yeah, and I would ask the same here to Anna.
So, in our case, I think that it was in the past, I have already tried to collaborate with other artists. So Magic Shoes is a project that has two phases. So in one way, we want to build this wearable technology, and we had like very practical issues of how to make the technology wearable. No? So that was very practical. But then there is also a very fundamental question, that is that we are working with the senses in creating these body perceptions. No? So we are talking about sensations, emotions, and there we clearly see the link with art. No? So we were looking for this innovative approach to create these sensations. And in the past I have tried many times to approach artists. I love dance, many artistic practices, and we tried to make it work, and it didn't work because we didn't have this common language, or we didn't have this common goal that you were mentioning before. And then we had this opportunity, we saw the cause, and we said, okay, let's try it again. I have never worked with Christy before, so we also passed by this process of having to get to know each other, so we have a lot of time of just conversations. I didn't know if we were going to find this common goal, but I think that in our case it worked very, very well, and I think that it was very important to create this space and time so that we have lots of discussions, and then at some point it happened. And we were really systematic in making it like that every day we were like documenting what we have been doing with photos, and then at the end of the day, okay, where did we get? So trying to really move forward, and yeah, in our case, I think it worked, but it's not easy.
Yeah, and on the side of the artist, one of the common conclusions or remarks that we are getting as monitoring partners, it's really linked with that part of language and time to explore what is the research field. Addressing the question to Christy and to Kasia, sorry. Did you have the time? Did you have difficulties in the language, understanding the artist, the tech projects? Were you engaged in some kind of activities that help you in that process? Tell us a little bit about your experience.
So, in my case, it was really an amazing experience because indeed we had this opportunity of emerging into the topic together. I spent 2 times 2 weeks in the actual lab of Anna, so we were physically there was nowhere to escape. It was really, let's just focus on the project, and we had lots of discussions. We did some tryouts, testing, and I think in that sense this was an amazing opportunity to really learn that vocabulary of each other and to understand, because of course even same expressions might mean different things in the fields that we are. And also it gave us the opportunity to really explore where we want to go, because both of us, we had given some indication of the possible project, but we had to find what is this common project that now we can form from those 2 directions that we are coming from, and make sure that it is important to both of us and that we can both contribute as experts of our own fields for this common goal.
Okay, Kasia?
I think in my case it was me and Fimata, about 30 scientists and 200 growers. So that immediately brought quite a big level of complexity. Because grow is not about inventing technology, but using technology to, animate or ignite a kind of, in a way, even partnership, I suppose, in how we kind of relate and observe environment and nature, and especially focusing on soil and food. The problem from the beginning was not about understanding the tech, but understanding the infrastructure. One thing can't exist without another, of course, and I think it took us about 2 or 3 months from the beginning for me even to get my head around what grow is about, because it's not only about one thing, kind of various departments, so to speak, have different aims, and scientists, I absolutely love them. They kind of like to pull me into their directions, very sneakily, and it's like, what am I supposed to do now? Hence 3 projects, not 1. But in general, our residency was quite special because I had also this extra commission within the GROW, and so we had the privilege to spend almost a year and a half talking on every week. We had meetings, and I had a lot of contact time with various scientists, as well as residence time in Greece and Dundee, and so I've been buried in soil for quite a long time now.
Are you going to be invited to become a partner? Okay, I've read in the reports that there were several occasions where artists were able to be involved with the research team, like in face-to-face meetings or online conversations, also workshops at the beginning of the residency. As Kasia was saying, she was also flying to Greece to meet the growers and to spend time there. And also, I learned that you like to use a lot mind maps, like mind mapping to express your ideas.
I remember you showed in June
right,
last
yes,
year
that was-
a huge mind map.
Well, that was necessity to get my head around what you guys want from me.
Do you think that those kind of tools help the connection with the research team and to perform the work?
I hope so, but I think this question probably would be more directed towards scientists and Fimata to see whether, thanks to my diagrams, and I did a lot of them for this residency, whether, the participants were a bit more feeling connected to my ideas, or...
Yeah, no, I think it's a really useful way, because I would say, I remember because you came to the consortium meeting that we had in Barcelona. So GROW is a project that has 18 partners based in, I think, 10 different countries, so we actually don't have that many face-to-face meetings. But we had a consortium meeting in Barcelona in January, and I remember explaining to one of the scientists there, who I think was working at the Permaculture Association, about how art can help explain science and technology, and the moment she kind of understood it, it was just kind of like, you know, when you can see somebody go, okay, I get it now, I see where it is. And I think by having those sort of mind maps and showing how concepts are developing, it's really helpful to kind of support people along in your development journey. I mean, I don't know how you and Kate were working together, but did it involve a lot of sort of drawings out and things? Yeah, what was the process that you went through?
So, no mind maps, although I wish we had the idea. But it was mainly through conversations, and I must say that she did like an amazing amount of work. She actually read our technical papers, not only ours but others that we gave her. Like she did really. I mean, she's also an academic, and you can tell that because she really prepared very, very thoroughly. And for her, it was also a new world. Like she does drawings, and she had never worked with technology. So I think that in this residency there was a lot of like kind of first times, and then it's, you know. But she did an amazing job. And it was basically like these two conversations and meetings, and then working with one of the postdocs who was the one who gave her the data. So it was basically, yeah, just normal conversations, but also a lot of like, you know, really getting her hands dirty, like with the science and the technology. She made a huge effort to understand what we were about. So that was really good.
Yeah, she was telling me that she read a lot of papers, a lot of articles, but also she had really to buy books to understand better what is machine learning and what is artificial intelligence. And in fact, then she had also some conversations and interviews with other experts in psychology in order to really understand the world of the tech project that is Amore. Does this requires from all of you a passion for the project that you have in hands? Or do you think that it's just another assignment that I have to do? How do you see this in your perspective?
Yeah, I think it wouldn't be possible if you don't have passion for the topic. It's really necessary. And I would just maybe add from our process that I have to admit that I wasn't reading too many of the articles in the beginning. But instead, I think our learning process was through the bodily expression, and we started from making prototypes, making different prototypes, the ones that we could just try on an arm or on our hand or just placing on our back and our body, because our project is about changing self-perception through something that you're wearing. So we needed to feel it on our own body to understand where the potential is and sense that through this physical sensing in some way, I think.
Because your prototypes, you were working with shoes, right? But your prototype is actually a dress. So it's focusing on different parts of the body, and where the pressure also is different if it's in the feet or if it's in the arms or in the back. And you were able to, I remember, Anna, you telling me that I was amazed to know that changing the fabric can have really impact on what we are doing. Was this like something that was very valuable for your project?
Yeah, I would say that was a breakthrough, because we have been exploring, you know, like sound in the past, also visual. We have played also with some vibrations, and we wrote also in Magic Lighting. But I never considered that the fabric can actually play such an important role. So in our case, we both got our hands dirty playing with new materials. So Christy brought to the lab a pile of different fabrics, and you can see how really, you know, it's not that we were using vibration patterns and putting an overlay fabric, how not only changing the vibration but putting the different fabric changes so much the sensation. So that was a breakthrough for me, to see that we can play with both things. Yeah.
And I remember, Christy, that you said that it was interesting for you to really get data from people that were testing the fabrics. That was something that for you it was new, and that you were finding it very interesting because that could give you some inputs on advancing the sensors and the way the movement.
Yeah, there's like somehow more systematic approach to the process, because as a designer or as an artist, we imagine a lot of things, but how do we know what really works? And in that sense, I think this collaboration was really fulfilling for the project and for myself to go forward, because you get certain security to understand that something works and maybe something doesn't work, so let's try something different. But to have that knowledge and to be able to say that, yes, we run some user tests and now we know that there might be some potential in that direction, it was very valuable.
Go, Gemma.
Now that you mentioned data, that was also something, I think the reason why she got so much into understanding, okay, I mean Theo, how much it's, I'm trying to represent both of us today, so how much she's here.
If you
So the reason why she got so much into kind of understanding the inner workings is that what she was interested in was documenting, as I was saying, no, we came with kind of different ideas, like, but what she was interested in is in representing non-human personality, right? And so understanding really what this model, how it was like, without doing it from the typical anthropomorphic perspective that, you know, we all have this image of robots, you know, like little kind of sort of human looking, and she didn't want to do that. She wanted to start from a model and then depict it. And the way she did that was by inspecting the data, like produced by the model, and then contrasting it with a psychologist in London, actually, she did consultations, and then trying to see what emerges, and then confusion, disembodiment, a lot of things, no? But that's why, and that's actually what I got, like, that was then the point of connection, because in AI nowadays, the models that we use every day in Google Translate, in Facebook, like when we type things in images, this and that, are based on a certain machine learning algorithm. And these things are huge beasts, you know, basically millions of parameters and numbers that you cannot inspect, like no human can understand them. So nowadays, what's called interpretable AI is all the rage, like understanding how these models make their decisions, right? Like to propagate some fake news, like this kind of thing. And what she did is from the artistic point of view, interpretable AI, right? Like what's this thing like, but from an artistic perspective. So at the end, we found this common connection that then, you know, the residency was over. That's the thing, you know, that then these things take time, like, you know, finding the common ground, finding the common language, finding the common research goals, so to speak, or goal, artistic goal. It just takes time. You can, you know, at least in my case. But anyway, so that was, yeah, my comment about data. So data is very important.
Okay, concerning the results, in terms of the Amore and the Blueprints residency, it is mentioned that interaction with artists provoked further considerations regarding big picture perspectives on artificial intelligence, as well as potential future research projects. Do you have already any new idea for a project that can be originating from this collaboration with Theo?
I think I kind of answered the question before you asked it. I think my answer is this one. Like that was the point of contact that I found. But then I also have to say this, that that was my other kind of piece of how do you say, feedback for like people organizing this kind of interaction between science and technology. Sorry, art and technology. I come from that. Which is that all these things take time, right? And in the case of the artist, that's their kind of main thing is to produce art. In the case of scientists or academics, like we have teaching, we have our own research, we have administration.
Busy agendas.
We have to train ourselves too. We're all learning. I'm studying math, you know, I'm a humanities person, so you know what I mean, right? And then it's very difficult for us to find, or at least for me, to find the time to invest in this thing, because to really make it work, you need to invest quite a bit of time. But then you're competing with all these other things. And so that's something that I find very, very challenging. And if you really, like the European Union wants to really push this kind of thing, my piece of feedback is they have to make it very, very easy for the scientists to do this kind of thing. Like for instance, when I saw the call, I checked the application procedure and it was very easy. You have to, so I did it. If the entrance point had been a bit more complicated, I wouldn't have done it. Because for me it was just, oh, it sounds super cool, let's try it, right? And then, as you know, Anna, so the monitoring process, the overhead involved in managing the residency, for me it was too much. So actually I didn't apply for another, like it was the first year, then I decided not to apply anymore, because I cannot sustain it. For me it's not sustainable to invest so much time in this thing when I have these other things.
Okay. I was not actually focusing on new projects within the residencies, but other future research projects for your university and for your research group.
Yeah, no, then if I did something more, it would be definitely in the direction of understanding how these models work because that's something we also do. I'm very interested in doing that. Like we are conducting specific analysis to see, for instance, they are able to do machine translation. If you guys know Google Translate, you know, it does a very decent job, but nobody knows how it's doing it. And that's a very active line of research. So for me, my interest would be to collaborate with her in this kind of thing. Like, and also like for me, like inventing new ways of, this has sparked something. Like this is a feedback that we've got. Like, it's not the kind we were expecting, but it's a different one. And this is the sort of thing that I think was fruitful for us.
Okay. Femata, in your view, how were the results for the project?
For the project, so one of the things that I think has been really interesting, particularly for the By the Code of Soil, so the online data artwork, is thinking about different ways that the project can use data to innovate and generate services for growers. So one of the things that Kazia developed as part of the By the Code of Soil, something called a soil portrait. So for each of the 9, sorry? Soil data portrait, sorry. So for each of the 9 growing places, having an artistic interpretation for their, quality of their soil, for the moisture that's in there. And although we haven't managed to do it yet, and I think that's something I'll take forward into the project, is seeing how people respond to that, seeing how people having their soil data transformed into something, what effect that has on them. And I just wonder, Kasia, if you want to talk about the last bit of the residency, the third innovation that you kind of came up with last weekend, and we haven't had chance to kind of bring back to the project and see. But that's that, like you were saying, like you spend all this time working on something, and then just as you're coming to the end, you're like, there's the thing.
Yeah.
So,
Use the opportunity also to present now the 3 outcomes of the artistic work.
So the reason why there's 3 of them is because of the scale and complexity of grow and not one but quite a few objectives, and trying to by trying not to be pulled into too many directions, I actually fall into all of them actually, and I'm quite, at the same time I'm passionate about the subject. So the first one is called By the Code of Soil, and it's a kind of computer virus, but there is a huge ethical consideration here regarding how to call it. I call it a virus, but it's a kind of a friendly virus. And it's been interesting for me to make because I was asked to look at different type of audiences. So one audience for me is of course people like myself, which is city dwellers who spend a lot of time in front of computer, being quite detached from the natural world. But what was interesting for me from the grower perspective is that I've been asked to develop something which would be appealing to and talk about growers, actually, not even scientific research, but growers themselves. The science is embedded in the sensors which are distributed across Europe, and that's where growers come in to help scientists to validate the data. One part of this data is from the moisture sensors which are in the ground, and another data is from the satellite. So it's kind of micro and macro negotiations going on here. So the first artwork is By the Code of Soil, and it is a virus which is or network data-driven artwork, which appears on participants' computers when the satellite Sentinel-1A is in a vicinity of the user's location. And it's audio-visual piece, which is all the time different depending on the data of the soil, which is in the close proximity of the user. And so the data portraits are coming from the different grow places, and it's a kind of imprint of 10 days worth of data of soil moisture, texture, season, temperature, and lots of environmental condition. And another one is looking, so this project is kind of looking from the macro perspective, and now I'm zooming into micro. So one of the things which Rob is doing, of course, is working with various scientists, and one of the scientists, scientists are from James Hutton Institute, who are really into the earthworms. And earthworms actually is a bioindicator or biosensor of quality of soil, and something which is totally not well, it's kind of forgotten. People don't really talk about earthworms. They're not really pretty, but are really cool. So there is so another kind of piece of work is a kind of, I call it a 5-star hotel for earthworms. It's a special container which contains earthworms and various types of soil, and the data which comes from these containers. Basically, the earthworms, they have this kind of task of mixing bad soil, which is depleted and non-fertile, with really alive and fertile soil, and there's a spatial sound surrounding that, which indicates those changes. And when we're doing research on that, we realized that people generally in farms, they don't really look at earthworms as indicators. And the reason for that is it's not a really easy way. I mean, you can dig it out and you can look at them and count them, but you can't, while doing that, you can't really see what sort of soil moisture is there, what sort of chemicals are there as well. So soil moisture as such is not the only indication of the soil fertility, because also there is, there are various reasons for soil fertility as well. And so the last thing which we suddenly came up with, based on all those experiments, is that we, using simple piezos, it's like a vibration sensor, we realized that we can actually detect the number of earthworms based on the movement and the volume, and based on that, together with the other data, we can actually assess the soil fertility. So we are making, by the code of soil, earth fertility test. And that is something which is not made yet. It's just kind of like, in the sketches, but I know that people from Grow are very excited about it, but it's kind of, last week, it's the end of the residency, and this thing finally happened. So my point is that...
So you're leaving the door open to future collaborations. I'm here, just call me in and I will contribute. Thank you, Kasia. And Christy, do you want to present the prototype that I mentioned? It has sound, but it has not, so...
It started from having sound inspiration, but actually went towards feeling of the body. So we made a dress that basically allows the person who wears it to feel as if they would be made of different materials. So as you can see from the picture, this is more of an impression. It doesn't really change its visuals like that.
The top picture in the center, okay?
Yeah, so the person is feeling first as kind of fluffy, soft, light cloud kind of feeling. When we change the program, then she starts to feel more as a rock, solid, cold, rough, edges kind of feeling. And then the third feeling that we managed to work out is a fluid, water or liquid movement. And it's the same dress, so it's only about changing the way that the vibration motors that are distributed around the body are activated, which strength and how long they kind of buzz, and how these movements runs over the body. That's briefly the project.
The prototype that you managed to do. And for Magic Shoes, what were the main results that you see from the cooperation?
I would say that we had like 3 main outcomes. One, we mentioned it already. So the first one that I wanted to mention was in the part below we have this little mind, like this word cloud. In the middle we see clouds, no? There. So the question that we gave to Christy is like, okay, we want to elicit different body perceptions. And for her in the beginning was very difficult to imagine, or this is how I interpreted that, it was difficult to imagine to work with these sensations. And then she came with this idea of what if we work with materials? Because for me, for example, a cloud, let's take a cloud as a material, has all these sensations, no? Like cloud it can expand, is light, is bright, is cozy. or a rock is something that is hard, is cold. So we started to work with materials as sensations, and that was the first outcome for us, that we can use materials in that way. The second one is the one that we already mentioned, that we can create these materials by having a combination of vibrations and fabrics, and actually both of them interact, and that was the graph that I was putting there, that by changing one of them, things go, I mean, I don't want to go into details, but that we can, both of them interact. And then the third one was the very practical one, that is like building wearable technology, that we can use the inner part of the clothes that people wear. So we have this, that has a lot of potential because it's invisible to others, it's very intimate, and you can create these body sensations in that way. So I think these are the three ones. Yeah.
Thank you. Because our time is, Christy, you want to?
I just wanted to say that,
Yeah,
so I think from the project itself, we have so many directions that emerged that we didn't manage to explore so far. And one of them also is, for example, future fashion. So what does it mean when our clothing, we don't really see any difference, but it feels so different what you're wearing. And all of these kind of next steps or future ideas, now we are looking for different ways of funding it. And also we are discussing with a company who is interested in commercializing this type of sensation that we can create through the material. So when you were asking about the future steps, this.
Yeah, that was also the second question that I had, and I will open, and whoever wants to. How do you see the results of the residencies that you were involved can impact a wider community? Because this was a collaboration between an artist and a project with a group of stakeholders related to the project. But how do you see that the work that you have done and the results that you have achieved can impact a wider community? Do you have any hint on this, or any reflection already made on at this point?
Well, it's just a very small thing that, so it's a kind of impacting a different community. So I know that my colleagues from the universities of Dundee and the universities of Edinburgh are speaking, they have a poster, or they're speaking at a conference that's coming up from the European Geosciences Union. And one of the things that they're representing there is by the Code of Soil. And that's speaking to colleagues who are in the satellite science area. So I think it's more spreading the news to other sectors about what the impact of involving and working with artists can be. So that's just something that's coming up. That's just a small example there.
To me, I guess it's, if it worked, because we haven't explored it, then like actually one of the questions I have for you for after is like, how can we, like, well, now we have this art, what do we do with it? But because of course I have no idea. I guess it's communicating AI in a different way, right? And now AI is everywhere in society. There's lots of really gloomy, thoughts about it, which I find very irritating. It's like, with all the wonderful things it's giving us, why are we worried about, killing machines? Anyway, so I guess it can give a different view about AI that's coming from art, and maybe that's easier to connect and be less fearful of by the public. But then that requires, having some kind of exhibition, and then that's where I have no idea, and I need some support, right? But that would be the kind of thing, apart from the impact in this thing of like potentially interpretable AI for scientists, but that's more as inspiration, but to me, kind of the dissemination part, it would be this, like reaching out to society about AI, but from a totally different perspective.
Thank you. Christy?
I think partially I already rushed ahead and answered this question, but I agree that this intersection of different disciplines and intersection of different fields and areas has opened up a lot of opportunities to show the work and to bring this discussion more into the public. So we have been in exhibitions, but also in talks and published also scientific research publication about it. So it kind of has went into different audiences and different domains, and I think that as long as we manage to take the feedback from there and bring it forward with us, then there's a lot of potential to it.
Thank you. Kasia?
I just wanted to add, actually, to everybody agree that in terms of grow, I was asked to develop or look after specific audiences, which I wouldn't actually consider as my audiences. So that was quite amazing, cool challenge. But also, I hope that from my perspective, I wanted to represent certain group of people engaging in something so basic, but so important as soil, which hopefully also helped grow to communicate their research towards a wider audience in general. And where we are going to take it further, well, we don't know. Hopefully we'll exhibit it all over the world.
Let's hope so. Okay, I would like to close this conversation. I would stay here for a long time, but the program is it has to continue. With a final question to all, because you have been the residencies from the first call that now has ended, but newcomers are ongoing and also will be starting soon. So I would introduce my question with a sentence that came from the Magic Lining residency. And sorry, but I had to use this sentence. It's not I'm not the author. Christy and Anna are. Memorable moments are those where your way of thinking is challenged, and at the end, you understand that other way is possible, and sometimes even more interesting. So my final question to you is, for those that are now starting the residencies, what would be your advice?
So my advice would be to not stick to what you wrote in the proposal.
That's exactly my advice.
Forget about the proposal, and really do try to have this conversation with the other partner and create something together, because it's much more fulfilling.
Thank you.
I think we might be all echoing that kind of thing, wouldn't it? Because, you kind of go, this is what we've applied to do, but actually, let's not stick with that. Let's actually explore and see what's there. But also, I think just picking up on some things that other people have said, taking time to develop a common language, because, in multi-consortium partnerships and projects where you're bringing people in from different perspectives, I think you said it, Christy, you were you can have the same terms, but actually mean different things by then. So I think taking time to really build a common language would be really important.
Thank you.
And sometimes sticking to your guns as well when you are pulled into so many directions, and remembering that artist is not a scientist's advertising board, but a person who can help to create amazing story, and a collaborator.
Yeah, I agree with everything, and to be open and to kind of find this direction where both or all of the partners can act as experts of their fields, because it is most important that not one direction is taking over and going there, but actually everyone will be able to contribute with their own experiences to this collaboration.
Okay, I think that you already covered most of the things, but I just wanted to say that I think it's very, very important that both parts understand that there is a real benefit of doing that, because it really takes time and effort to get this common language, so you really need to be convinced that actually at the end you can do something better by working together. So.
Okay, thank you all. I wish you all lots of success for next few projects, and also to continue to explore this collaboration between art, science and technology, and I hope to see you around soon. I'll be happy to clarify any questions that you might have in the break. And thank you all for listening to this presentation, and we hope that the new residencies that will be starting soon will be so inspired by these 5 nice ladies. Six. Theo is online and she's listening to us. Thank you all. Have a good afternoon.